Hello and welcome to Clutch or Kick.
We have a name.
Episode 1 or 2 because we've got a new name, so we might just slap a new episode number on it. Welcome to the VALORANT podcast on the Overwatch podcast channel that we're now trying to turn into a general podcast channel. So there you go. Don't complain.
But hey, it's for a good cause though, because if we have more shows and we have more ad revenue, we get more money.
Yep. Good call.
Is that a good call?
Yeah, and then we can bring guests like Golden Boy on for 8 minutes because that's how much we'll be able to afford with our ad revenue.
Exactly.
Yeah, unfortunately,
he's only here for the first 8 minutes of the show, so
yeah.
After that, it's pro bono.
Haven't noticed already, Golden Boy is joining us. The fantastic, the magnificent, the national treasure, the man from Brooklyn, New York, the Bronx actually. Brooklyn and Bronx, they're not the same, right?
No, they're not
whatever,
the same.
dude. Okay. Whatever. I'll just let you.
You
just,
fucked his intro up.
I was combing my hair and everything. I was so excited. That's all good.
You've still got that dirty little patch, haven't you? You rotten man.
Oh yeah, I do.
I
Really?
can see it. I can
Yeah,
see
what
it.
is
That's
that?
chopped up hair.
Why?
I am cutting my hair relatively soon because at this, like, I thought about whether or not I should let it grow because I have very nappy curly hair. So I thought maybe I'll let it grow and see what happens. But then my wife said she would leave me. Also, just mentioned my wife in another podcast. Hell yeah, dude. Turn up, fam.
Well, you know, this is 3 weeks of Josh growing his hair out, though. So we'll see how it'll look 3 more weeks from now.
Bro, that Avatar Airbender thing was the best image I ever seen, I think, in my entire life.
Dude,
Like,
I never thought I would see the day where Golden Boy had more hair than Sideshow.
Yeah.
Really?
He's got more
Holy
hair
shit.
in that little patch. He's got more hair in his disgusting little patch.
He's got more hair on his face than on your head.
True.
I've been trying to race, like, when you're bald, you're supposed to grow a beard, but I can't grow a beard. So instead, I thought I'd set it up as like a bit of like a healthy competition between the hair follicles on my face. So I'm not going to cut my beard or my hair, and we'll just see which looks the most ridiculous first.
A
At
healthy
the moment,
competition, but everyone loses.
yeah, at the moment the beard is winning, but I don't know whether you can really call this bum fluff winning. It's not a good laugh.
Yeah, we could get into the reason why hair follicles grow at different rates, but I'm going to talk about VALORANT
We have a
instead.
podcast for that.
Yeah, we
have a podcast.
We do have a podcast.
If you're
for that.
looking for something to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about patch notes, though. Version 1.01 of VALORANT.
Ooh.
I actually didn't even know this patch came out. What did they
Yeah,
fix?
how weird is it that they drop patch notes? Like, what is this? 1 week after going live?
Yeah, and there was some stuff that's like been data mined from this patch that's in the code but not in yet.
Oh,
So I wonder. I think they've talked about it on Twitter, but like this is one that added the surrender feature when you're down a player.
right.
Really? When did this get added?
This was this morning, I believe, or,
Wait, for real?
or yesterday.
I think this was late last night because I was playing
late
a game
last
with
night.
I was playing a game with Paddy, and he and one of the other players on our team disconnected, and I had to play 3v5, and I dominated my opponents, and we lost 13-11.
yeah.
It
Well,
sucked.
This is new
It's
for me because
inconvenient. He always dominates when nobody else is there and nobody can see.
just some
That's the only
context.
time he dominates.
It says that this patch was deployed on the 9th, right? The 9th of June. We're recording this on the 9th of June, on the morning of the 9th of June.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
This has just come out. So I'm just seeing this now.
Yeah.
So
So the biggest one is the barrier orb for
Okay,
Sage.
it's the first
They've
change.
made it so that you can't deploy it from 20 meters away. They've halved the range of where you can deploy the wall from. And that means, for example, like some real world impact is that when you're playing like on bind, sometimes sages would try and hold showers and they'd play from like the pocket area, not the bench, but like the far back. You can't wall from there anymore. That's 20 meters away. So you'd have to hold way closer. Like when you're holding A short, you can't wall the top of A short anymore on bind. There's like a lot of real world. Oh, no, I say real world. I mean like in-game. I mean in-game applications to it. It's not going to affect your real world finances.
I can't remember a game that went through like an alpha like beta stage and just like had to like continually just kind of go at one character constantly, like so hard.
Yeah, it just goes to show you she has a she has a lot of problems, and this change is not going to impact her at all.
You don't think so?
So long, no, not at all. So long as heal and res are still a thing, she will be a #1 priority pick across all teams.
Alex,
period.
Are you saying it could have been an issue putting Mei and Mercy into one character and giving her an assault rifle?
Yeah, actually, who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it that two characters that Blizzard were trying really hard to try and minimize, but Riot now just said, you know what's a great idea?
Let's
slap them motherfuckers together. We good to go. And
take some duct tape, put them together, and let's go.
I know, man.
I think the heal and the res are the worst parts about Sage. I don't know whether this is a hot take.
I think that's a hot take.
I think the reason that Sage is a must pick is because she is the only character in the game that can slow down rushes, apart from Cypher. Like Cypher with his cages can as well.
No, not with his cages, not anymore.
It doesn't, but he still can. He still can with his tripwires and the cages because they make noise when people push through them. You always know when people are.
You can also
pushing.
slow rushes with a brimstone molly as well. That lasts around 8 seconds. You can also slow rushes down with a Phoenix molly too. Yeah,
but those are like, they have to be very tight angles.
I know what you mean though, Josh.
Viper has like the poison thing for the
in terms of her area denial or her just crowd control over a general area, she's unmatched in the game.
She's a site anchor, and she's one of the, like, you're not going to play Brimstone as a site anchor and rely on one molly, but like 2 Sage slows and a wall is huge for being able to just lock down an area. I think that's the biggest reason that I think she'll start getting played less. I mean, I don't know whether this is a hot take. I think she's going to be, at the moment, she's 100% pick rate in tournaments. I think that she's going to start moving down to like 90% pick rate. 95%.
You know what? The team that doesn't pick Sage in a tournament, that team will get knocked out first round.
That's what people were saying about Brimstone, and then all people were experimenting with that. And like Cypher, people are experimenting with Cypherless comps a little bit.
Our only, so Cypher, I can kind of sort of get, but our only actual application for anything that we've seen right now was a streamer tournament that had a majority of teams pub stomping on other streamers. So that's all we got. First real tournament is going to be the first light one
later.
The
Twitch rival.
That basically what I'm saying is that we like, that's not a good indication of like what meta shifts would be, because like you saw in that, like, everyone said, okay, Jett's meta. And even I said, like, Jett's meta. And I think that Jett could potentially be meta. But again, it's like that her impact is nowhere near as significant as, like, Sage's impact. Sage's impact is the most important thing.
I'll be honest with you guys. I think it's futile to even talk about a meta when the game is not being played efficiently, if that makes sense. So metas only seem to settle and develop when players have discovered the ins and outs and how to play a character efficiently. When people are playing suboptimally, you can get away with different comps and you can experiment a lot more. We see this in Overwatch, which is where a lot of us come from, with when they introduce hero pools. There's a conversation for another time. Some of you watching this probably don't know what we're talking about, but another example is whenever they make some radical balance changes across the board in a game like League of Legends or Dota, you tend to see a lot different compositions being played because people don't know how to play the optimal comp. They don't know what the optimal comp is, and are not playing as efficiently. In a new game like Valorant, when people are still getting used to how some of the abilities interact with one another, how to play around different abilities, what's actually strong, what they prioritize is what they think of as strong. That's going to change, and that's going to shift a lot quite early. I do still think Sage is pretty good because, and for you, I think it is a hot take what you said, Josh, about the heal and res being some of the worst parts of the kit. The res is situational. I'll agree with that.
It's very situational.
It's very situational, but the heal I think is so good in a kit because it just allows anyone to take a trade, come out worse for wear, and then be topped back up to 100 health.
But do you think that the hero would be better if she only had heal or if she only had slow orb and wall?
I think both the hero would terrible mechanics to have in a tactical shooter.
Yeah, that's a different.
I think they're both garbage mechanics to have in a tactical shooter, but that's just me.
Like, I find it absolutely crazy that people still put slow in shooting games. Like, there's nothing worse in a shooter than some type of slow. Like any other deterrent, like if it does just damage, okay, like whatever.
As well.
Slows are just like. Even any other game you can think of that's player versus player and you get slowed or like disoriented, it just sucks. There's nothing good about it.
I think it's a little bit different in MOBA games, though, at least from what I play. But with an FPS, because there's some psychology behind it, and I remember having this discussion with people back when I was casting TF2 about stuns in TF2. There weren't many of them, but there were some. And it's the idea that it takes away control when you're in a first-person perspective that just feels horrible to play. Taking away control, and slows to a lesser degree, but any sort of stun, any sort of crowd control just doesn't feel nice when you get control taken away with you. When you're looking at a character from overhead, it doesn't feel as bad because you're looking at this character from an overhead perspective. But yeah,
I don't necessarily think that the wall and the slow should be like some people have the very strong opinion that they should just be removed from the game. I don't think that they should. I think that they fulfill some kind of purpose of just avoiding 5-man rushes into sites. I think the game would be insanely boring if the correct strat that actually resulted in the most wins on attack was just a 5-man rush, A and then B and then B, and just mixing it up. I think that would be a horse shit game, actually. And so I think you need some characters that prevent rushes like that. And I think that in order to prevent rushes, you have to have some kind of like Sage or Cypher or whatever in a game. I'm
okay with that, but I just don't think they need the wall and slows. Like one of them would have been like, okay. I think it's just a little overkill to have. Like she can throw a slow, she can wall, then she can throw another slow. Like it's just too much.
They are a lot shorter than they used to be. I think they've done a great job at making it
and the slow
less aggressive.
The slow amount is like 50% now.
They did a better job of navigating that. I think that my issue with a lot of people's thought process on Valorant, to be frank, is that everyone just constantly judges it as Counter-Strike. And like I get it. In the beginning, it like made sense to do that and talk about it in the context of Counter-Strike. This isn't Counter-Strike. So you kind of just gotta like, I don't want to say accept, but this is the kind of game that they're going for. They're taking the tactical shooter genre, and then they're adding different elements to it to not make it Counter-Strike. They're taking the best elements of Counter-Strike, quote unquote, with like its gunplay and its map design and all that stuff, and it's just bare bones format, and then they're making it their own game. So I'm okay with what they did. Do I agree though that Sage has too much utility? I feel that is the case. I would like, and I said this before, that we need another agent that does another, like a slow maybe better than Sage, so that this way you can bring Sage's priority on the slow down, and then another agent can do the slow maybe a little bit better or in a different capacity. Dude, I just don't want it to have too much utility is what I'm saying. She has too much utility.
Sorry for interrupting, but you're going to get into a Cold War situation where you're just where you're just adding these agents, and you're trying to one up Sage that's already pretty good. Like
if you had an agent with another heal, or an agent with another heal, like that operates in maybe like an AoE type heal or something.
I think having another agent with slow would get dangerous, because I think then teams starting on the defensive side of things would have slow options on both sides of the map, which could get pretty nasty.
The danger,
I mean, you
have
slow
adding,
Cypher, like.
Sorry, Matt. The danger of adding a character that overlaps with a character like Sage in terms of like a heal or maybe a slow or CC is running both of them at the same time, and then suddenly you've got an oppressive composition that we see in Overwatch happen all the time. When they released Sigma that filled in similar niches, we just saw double shield for God knows how long, because it suddenly became an incredibly powerful comp to just stack those two fundamental core parts of the game. And I fear that if you do that in Valorant, then you're probably going to get a similar situation where teams just start stacking Sage and whatever else for the double slows or double heals or whatever.
It could be interesting to have a character that only was good on defense, so that if you did stack them with Sage, you would suck on attack.
In theory, isn't that Viper?
No, I don't think so, really, because Viper, I don't think like locks down an area. Viper is I think Viper's a pretty bad hard anchor. Like, I mean, somebody that could like build a wall, but it had to
make the enemy team pay for it.
It had to like take some time to set it up or something, so that it was only good on defense. I'm trying to think of like Rainbow Six, where you reinforce areas. I don't know. I think that bad agent design is the only thing that can kill this game. And I am already tilted, honestly, from playing against Reyna so far this week.
I mean, hold on. Let's go through the rest of the patch notes before we talk about Reyna. So what are the other patch notes that we've got?
So there's a bunch of stuff with like spike rush and whatnot. There's a one change lower in the bug fixes that a lot of people on Reddit are talking about that they think is going to be a big change or a buff.
Oh, hold up. What's this?
It's the area of effects, and those are performance updates.
Whoa, but this is important because, hold up. Can we scroll up into the...
You want to talk about PC performance?
Yeah, I'm trying to...
Hey guys, go out and buy better PCs.
No, they're just... Okay, they're fixing a bunch of performance shit in combat because I was having the same issue where sometimes I get into a gunfight and my FPS would drop to like 100.
Yeah, really they've done a really good job of
sure, Bren.
I'm
sure what's happening.
I'm sure Alex is sponsored by some computer company that he can get you some stuff.
I'm not right now.
Oh,
maybe down the line though. Maybe
right, let's go down to the bug fixes, please.
Yeah, the one that everybody is talking about that stands out is the area of effect indicator for Sova's recon bolt and Reyna's leer now only show on the enemy's minimap if the player or their allies are close to the affected area.
Yeah,
don't like that.
That's huge. What, you don't like that? I think that's really...
I liked having the information that someone just preemptively shot out a leer because they weren't saving. Like, I like having the info. I don't like the fact that the info is now not present, or like a Sova just shot their arrow out on a long or whatever. Like, I liked having that information.
I think it's weird that that info was given on the minimap. Like, for example, you don't see when a Phoenix flashes on the other side of the map, but you do see when a Reyna leers. It's strange what information was given on the minimap.
I thought it was intentional.
What, like a deliberate nerf?
Yeah, a deliberate nerf to Reyna. But I don't think this is going to affect much in the top level of play, because in the top level of play, people don't have a tendency to over-rotate from sites, and that's the main risk of what this would give away. In lower level of play, you see people stacking sites because they think a hit's going to come onto it, and then
everyone A.
They call A. How many times? How many times in your bloody games chat type a comment, because the amount of times I see this happening when I'm watching streams or whatever, doesn't happen with me because I'm a high level gamer, 280 pounds, 6'3", but this would reveal that it was actually like a double fake or like a fake, and they would hit the other side. But in a top level of play, people don't over rotate. They still stick people to sites, so you would still see this, you would still witness this. So if people are reacting poorly to this, I think it's a bit of an overreaction, probably because they're pretty bad at the game.
It will make a big difference in rank, though, and it's a nice quality of life change for Sovas and Reynas to be able to throw out your arrow and not have to worry that everyone on the map knows exactly where you threw it.
Do you think a Reyna player is worrying about that?
I think that they should be a little bit, yeah. Like, just in the games that we've had recently, we've been holding, and it's like a 2v2 situation, and you're not quite sure where the attackers are, and you see a Leah just pop up on A, and you're like, well, guess they're hitting A, guys, and you run over to A. Like, it does give away quite a bit of info.
Yeah.
Were there any other bug changes that were
well, there's I mean, I like playing Spike Rush to like warm up or play a game, but they've added some ridiculous shit. So they've added a health orb which grants team-wide health, which is instant. They've also added a deception orb. So when you pick it up, the enemy team gets paranoia for 3 seconds, which reduces their vision, creates fake footsteps and gunfire for them, and disables their minimap.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Could be quite powerful. And then the last one that they've added is a golden gun. So it's a one-shot, one kill. You have perfect accuracy at all times. You move at knife speed as well, and then kills grant you an additional bullet.
That's pretty cool.
I like that.
It sounds crazy, but it's just like it's basically Jett's right click, right?
Yeah,
like it's basically that.
But it's accurate.
It kills where it hits
range too.
It's perfectly accurate when moving. Yeah.
But that's So it's like a buffed version of Jett's right click.
It's a very easy Jett right click, right? Because you don't need to aim at their heads. You just
Look, Spike Rush was made for people who need to be initiated into the game.
Yeah, it's just a fun
honestly,
little thing, right?
It's a great mode. Like, I don't understand the hate for it. I get like people want a deathmatch, and like that is more than likely going to come, and I'm not concerned about that at all. But this is a fun mode. Like, I actually have a really good time when I stream. I just get people from my community in, and we just run Spike Rush games, and it's fun. Like, there's like no pressure. I play agents that I normally wouldn't play. I just have fun with it.
Yeah.
You have to have fun with a video game. If you're not having fun,
What do you mean,
then why
Alex?
the hell are you playing? No, because I would say this a lot too to people, where it's like Valorant is the type of game. Well, I should say Valorant competitive and unrated as it was in pre-version 1.0 and stuff, that when you are playing it, the fun is winning. The fun is not in like, oh man, we lost 13-12 and we had a really good time. Like, no, screw that. That's annoying. That guy cheated more than likely, or he's stream sniping. And that is the logical answer for basically everything. So I just feel like you have to have something that's fun. I just don't understand why people were so up in arms and getting angry over this thing when it first was launched, because it was asinine. Like, dude, let people have fun, man.
To add on to that as well, I think some people watching this are probably not going to like to hear this, but casual game modes like Spike Rush are so important for the longevity of a game.
Yeah.
So important for the longevity of a game.
Sure.
There's a reason why.
The law.
I mean, it doesn't, like all the esports, all the insecure other games like CS:GO, you know, they're worried about Valorant or Overwatch taking over and taking over the tactical shooter market. I don't know, but the thing is, Overwatch is relevant today because of the custom games, because of the casual mode, because of the arcade mode, and because it has millions of active players because of those reasons.
And it's on console.
It's on console as well.
Yeah,
that's right.
true.
So attracting the casual players and making an easy mode for them to get into should have been first priority for Riot. And if they didn't release with a mode like that to get people into the game, this game would struggle to really have any longevity. It can't compete with CS with just a hardcore audience, because the hardcores are just going to keep playing a game they've always played.
It's going to sound like a meme, but I'm actually surprised that they haven't had any type of console plans or anything, because I think this game
they did talk about it
on console. Yeah,
they're prototyping a console version, but they said that if it doesn't make sense, they're not going to move forward with it, which is something I can respect.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you
at
remember-
least they're saying it that they're doing it. They did Counter-Strike on
crossplay,
Xbox.
Yep.
Yeah, they did Counter-Strike on Xbox.
Didn't it suck?
It was
no,
garbage.
It was popular. Popular on game battles. Game battles. It was popular.
Yeah, it actually was for a little bit, but it struggled to maintain an audience because it just didn't make sense. Like, and I also understand their mentality as well. Like, their whole thing is if they can't keep competitive integrity, I don't think people understood their statement as much as they thought they interpreted it, because the interpretation that I've seen is, oh, well, obviously you can't make a game like Valorant work on console because of, controllers, and that's that. No, what they meant was if they can maintain the competitive integrity of 128 tick servers, anti-cheat, and all that other stuff, that is what they're talking about. They're not like, you can just freaking add aim assist onto it and like you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. And they're not going to do crossplay, so that's not a thing either. Although I do think they should do cross progression, because I would like to be able to take my stuff from PC, and if I have buddies of mine that only play on console, and if Valorant comes out on console, I would like to be able to stun on them with my Prime skin that sounds like a laser gun. So but that's basically it, right? Like that was my interpretation of it. I think we do see a console release. They just need to be able to hit 128 tick servers. That is the important part for them.
Do you guys remember the leak that came out in the beta roughly around the time of the first open beta launch, and it got quickly taken out of the data mine? Somebody launched a game on their Windows Surface laptop with a touchscreen enabled, and it enabled touchscreen controls made for a mobile phone.
Really?
Yes.
I could see that. Yeah. I could see that.
They're developing the game for mobile.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you think about how the game is kind of designed and the way it works, like they wanted it to run on like really old computers and whatnot. So if it can run on really old computers, even at like low to medium settings, phones now have surpassed that in terms of like technology. So they should be able to run it on a phone. I mean,
and you have a massive market in Asia too that will consume the hell out of that.
They want the mobile market.
Is freaking huge. Call of Duty Mobile is
massive.
There's no reason why they're not going to try and do that, dude.
People who are stuck in their PC like bubble, which is most of the hardcore Valorant audience, the people that use Reddit, this kind of stuff, even the people watching here as well, I'm sure, will be like, what are these idiots talking about console and mobile for so much? But people who are stuck in a PC bubble don't realize how many mobile and console gamers there are out there. It's monstrous. It's so large. It's such a huge portion of your business if you're a game developer.
As a game, you can't kind of like put yourself in such a hardcore niche of competitive tac shooter only on PC. Like that is such a small.
Yeah, there's a reason why CS. There's a reason why CS is able to remain up, you know, in that bubble.
Yeah, that
like,
is
ignore the fact that it's Xbox because it's existed for 20 years.
It's 20 years, yeah. But if you're trying to grow a community and build like a larger player base, like having it exist on mobile and console is not a bad thing at all.
I think what they're trying to accomplish is telling people just because this game is hardcore doesn't mean it can't be fun. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, where like if they're talking about a console version, but they want to maintain the integrity, it's very clear that Riot has a set of rules that they are following regarding how they will operate their game moving forward, that they are very keen on sticking to no matter what. And that's kind of like their fallback, which is something I can genuinely respect, because can they do a mobile version of a bastardized version of Valorant? Like, yeah, they totally can. They could probably release that like within the next like 2 months. I wouldn't be shocked. There has to be a plethora of Asian studios out there that will gladly take the game, port it, and put it on mobile and profit like huge off of it. That is not a problem. Like, and if they like money, they will certainly do that. But and clearly, you know, everyone likes money. But I think that what they're trying to do more so is stick to these principles that they have set for themselves and say, like, we're always going to commit to this. This is not going to be like a cash cow. We're not chasing a cash cow. It's very clear they're not trying to chase after a cash cow here. Because if you want a cash cow, you release a battle royale and you add a bunch of free stuff on it and skins that mean absolutely nothing. Or you do what they're doing and release a tac shooter in a market that already is like stupidly hardcore, and you know, set yourself to a made up principle of rules.
And you don't know how like we've talked about like mobile and console. The one thing I just thought about is like how they're going about the League of Legends release on console, where it's not going to be the same exact game as PC. It's going to have less champions, and they're designing it like to be a faster map that's only going to take like 15 minutes. So you have no idea like if something like Spike Rush is something that's going to be like a something that like, hey, people on console, dip your feet into Valorant. If you like it, play like the better version on PC, like try and get some people crossover that way. Like you have no idea how they would even approach it.
Could be.
Could happen. Let's continue with the patch notes. I don't think there's much else in there.
Not really.
No, I don't think there is anything else.
No.
Okay, well, let's talk about Reyna then.
Fuck this hero.
Yeah.
Like, actually, this agent.
Yeah, it's agent shot.
Agent. Okay. Reyna herself, I'm fine with the invisibility. I'm fine with the healing. I'm fine with the clutch. I'm fine with all of it. Get Leah out of the game.
So what you're telling me is you don't like Latinas, is what you're telling me.
Shut up, golden boy. The flash it defies every reasonable principle for how a flash should work in a game like this.
It's not a flash though.
No, it's an AoE silence or AoE.
Exactly, like... it's even worse. It's an AoE paranoia that has 100 HP, so that you have to shoot it, get to the random recoil part of your gun, and then flick down to wherever the choke point was, and just hope that you spray the Reyna down. That's going to double peak with it.
That's the part that I hate.
Sense.
Yeah.
Like, so many games have struggled with this, like over time, of like. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is a perfect example of this. What that game suffered from was there were times where you had to have your gun like up here and then like immediately get it like down there, and it's like it's just not possible. Like, and especially in a game like Valorant where like the bullet spread like becomes an issue. Like Call of Duty, not as much. Like, what do you even do? Like, there's no other option. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous.
This is when you pop the ult and you go fully invisible, and he's just snacking on iron players.
Yeah,
Just snacking on
These
them.
poor plebeians don't know what's going on. He's coming in and out of invisibility. Some of them are just listening to music. They don't even have the audio on.
Hulu, dude.
But yeah, it's a pub stompy hero, but I was listening to the Do Not Peak, which has Scoots and Alchemist. They run a studio, and they've got a Valorant podcast called Valorant, and they had Sliggy on, who's the head coach. They've only got one coach. He's the coach of Fish 123, and he's a former CS:GO observer, former CS pro player as well. And he has a similar opinion where he's like, Reyna's all right, but her flash is just abnormally good, just bonkers good. Because I think there's something that people don't appreciate is like, sure, it doesn't flash your own team, and it is like an AoE paranoia. That's already an incredibly good flash, but it also disrupts your crosshair placement because you have to shoot it. It's not like you can flick away and just return your crosshair back to the same place. You shoot it, and then you have to like blindly return your crosshair to where it was before as someone peeks. It's like the Roomba, but it also flashes you.
And the person that peeks is also not visible to you.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a big cone. They can sit on the outside of the cone. And
You know what I've
just
seen
murder
people
you.
do as the outplay for it? They don't even go for the spray down because spraying in this game is inconsistent. It's not the same as CS where the pattern will generally follow the same thing. After a couple of bullets, it's not that consistent. They don't even go to kill it. They put their camera angle off to the side so that it's out of line of sight of the blind, but they can see when the Reyna peaks, and they just try and hit the flick. They just try and hit the flick. Like,
I mean, how is that the counterplay?
That's the counterplay. Is you have to intentionally do shit crosshair placement and hit the flick of a lifetime.
It doesn't make any sense. And so I think that it's kind of like Breach Flash. It's almost like they just got the flashes more and more mental as they went on. Phoenix Flash has a short duration. You know exactly where the Phoenix is because it can only follow one curve.
The duration of this.
Sure, they've increased the duration a little bit, but it's you have that info. Like you don't just flash. Like in CS, you can pop flash or throw flashes and bounce them off walls, and you know that a guy's probably going to peek with it, but you don't exactly know where from. Phoenix, you know exactly where he's going to flash from because it curves around and you know that, hey, the Phoenix is behind that corner. Breach can pop a flash from a variety of different places, and you don't exactly know where he's going to peek from. Like he can flash long range and he can flash at different angles. And then Reyna can put a flash like in the ground, and you have to shoot at the ground and then kind of track up the body. Or it can be in the sky, it can be lodged in a wall, it can be all over the place. It doesn't.
You can do it through walls as well.
Yeah, through walls. I mean, and
I don't
it's
think
not
it
like
should be able to go through walls. I don't.
Yeah.
I think if there should be like a rule, right? Because if the eye goes through a wall, but yet you're treating the eye like a solid object, it can be shot down, then the eye should be initially treated like a solid object, and it should not be allowed to go through walls. Just
Bro,
like
that
the way
sounded like something that Jaden Smith would tweet. If the eye goes through a solid wall, then our mirror's real.
No. Because think about it like this: you can't put the curveball through a wall, right? Sure. Like I understand the breach one because of the logic that they have that he's emitting a pulse through a wall that then creates a flash, right? But this is being treated like a solid object that you have to shoot in order to destroy. Whereas Omen's paranoia is just, in like an ability, right? Like or not an ability, excuse me. It's it's like an essence, if you will, right? So like he's able to throw it through the wall. So I understand that logic. I think though that Reyna should not be able to send that thing through a wall.
You're taking issue with it from a lore perspective. I'm just taking issue with it from a balance perspective.
No. I'm treating it like the object that it is. It's a physical object, so that's a physical object should not be allowed to go through a wall. That's just like my logic behind it. I don't know. That's how I feel.
Something that Josh and GB brought up that I think is interesting, just in terms of like where they go with the game in terms of agents, is like, they both mentioned like, the paranoia like makes sense, right? It's not like oppressive. Like Breach totally makes sense. The guy's name's Breach. He can do things through walls, right? Does it like in the same way that we were talking earlier about Sage, where it's like, oh, it'd be cool if they created like another agent with the same type of tools as Sage. It seems like they did that with Reyna, but they just went bonkers with it. which I guess I'm more scared of if that's like the design philosophy, right? Like with agents going forward, if it's like, well, we can take stuff from existing kits and just kind of like make them bigger, wilder and bigger. That gets scary because, I mean, like even going back to kind of referencing some stuff from Overwatch, like you see the original agents or heroes, whatever you want to call them, after a while getting left by the wayside because the kits of the new ones are just so much better and stronger.
That happens in League as well.
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware, like the very early kind of champions that they released, they're not as.
I think in Valorant for them to release an overtuned agent as well, just on the basis that to unlock a new agent, you can't save up some currency and unlock it. It's not like League with that. You have to buy it for $10, or when the agent is released, do an arduous XP grind while you have that contract enabled. So it's not the same as those other games as well. So there's almost more of an incentive for Riot to create these characters that are more overtuned so that you want to buy them and play them.
But like, dude, it's a date. Like, I agree with Josh. Like, I think this game is phenomenal, and I really like and enjoy playing it. But I think agent design is the one thing that could really turn people off to it.
I just think that you should not have. I don't think it makes sense to have killable abilities in this game. No, that's wrong, because I kind of like the recon dart and stuff. But like Roomba and the Reyna flash, where you peek with them, but they have to be destroyed. That doesn't make sense, because you're disrupting crosshair placement as well. And it doesn't seem like that's something that's been added into the balance idea, is the fact that like if someone peeks with the Raze Roomba, you have to look down at the Roomba or look at the Raze. And that's kind of the similar thing for this Reyna flash, except that you can't ignore the flash and just look at the corner because you're blind. So there's something fundamentally wrong with the design about this flash, and I don't know a great way of fixing it. Like, I don't think that it makes sense for to be able to deploy a flash in a 3D space that has 100 HP and AoE.
I think it's funny that
had a tight cone of vision, maybe.
We're talking about this, but this has been in the game since the beginning, which I think is very funny. It's just that paranoia, the hindsight, or sorry, near sight, because it's a flash, near sight,
the same
slow, and burn, right? Are the I guess the four things that they've created that are because burn would be Viper Snakebite, Molly, and I guess slow could be added to that too. But it wouldn't that's only exclusive to one.
It wouldn't really matter if it was near sight or flash. Like, it doesn't really matter that it is near sight. If it was an AoE flash that lasted for the duration as well, it would be even worse.
Yeah, but I think what I'm saying is that I think it's the way, because you can defend against a flash if you have the reflexes to turn around and you can get like a quarter of that, right, or like 35, I don't know what the number is of it, versus this where you literally like can't look at it. Or and I just think it's just weird, because like omens is something that is actually not even defensible if you get caught by it. It was actually something that we were seeing a lot from the on Ascent with TSM. Like, they would just have myth like pre paranoia an area, and they would have like 3 people paranoid, and then they'll like just sweep in and kill them. Like
okay.
will just go in and dominate.
I will say, sorry,
go ahead.
GB, I didn't mean to
no, go for it.
I think omens is a little bit different though, because you have to actually aim it. I don't know if they buffed the area that it affects, but it used to be.
They did. They buffed it enormously, actually.
That's why it was so effective. Yeah.
And you don't get an indicator that it's coming towards you now, so you can't dodge it.
Oh, it's I didn't even realize they did that.
Yeah, it's low key broken, but everyone's focused on other stuff. Like it's all right. It's not like Reyna though, because it's not fucking AoE. Like, you still have to define an area of the map that you want to clear out. You don't just bust it and then whoever's looking at the choke point gets blinded.
This is true. Yeah, but so I think that there's a problem. It is a problem worth investigating. I do, though. I like the idea that they are at least trying to go into, again, a different direction that is not Counter-Strike, because this is not Counter-Strike. Like, I know that always seems to be something that tilts people, right? Because they're like, well, if they didn't want it to be Counter-Strike, then they probably shouldn't have went after CS. And it's like, Well, one, they never did.
They
Everyone
never
else did. Everyone else like went after CS. They just, because it was like when this game was announced, everyone then was just like, "Ha, you see, Valve, you should start paying attention to us, you dicks." And that was kind of like how the whole conversation was framed online. Whereas like Riot had said numerous times that they appreciate the things that Counter-Strike has done, and if anything, it's an inspiration from what they've created. But this game is not Counter-Strike, and obviously they're not going to say, "Yeah, we're going after CS, suck my balls." Like, they're not going to do that, obviously. But I just think that, you know, the narrative that people have created, and now because this isn't like new Counter-Strike where, you know, guy who was MDL or struggling to get MDL and CS now wants to go pro in Valorant, and he announced it when the beta first came out, is still struggling to go pro in Valorant because he realized he wasn't that good to begin with. That person is like the most frustrated right now, I think. And that's my issue with the game. Stop trying to make this game freaking Counter-Strike. And like, I want different things. Is it right? Should it be balanced? Sure. I'm not disputing that, but I'm okay with the idea of near sight. I like the direction that they're going with the agents. I like the fact that Reyna is an agent that literally goes online the moment she gets kills. That actually is very different.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool.
It's kind of dope.
I just don't want it to feel oppressive. Like, I don't mind the paranoia and stuff and the nearsighted. I think they're actually kind of cool mechanics as well. I just kind of hate the way that Lear works currently. I would like to see it adjusted in some manner to make it not feel as horrible, because like when it comes around the corner, you're like, okay, well, I can either just kind of like run away and then she just chases and just kills, or I can just, like Bren said, like blindly fire into it. Because shooting it is like the counter to it, but like it's not really possible. Like,
if it died in one bullet, it would make a big difference though, because then you wouldn't be like spraying. You'd be it would make it easier to
tap it and then just shoot.
Yeah, and I think that would be an interesting change. I'm just as a final point to this Reyna rant as well. I know that people in the comments, because I've seen this all over Reddit as well, will just be like, "Well, the counterplay is just to hold an angle where you can peek back behind something. Like, you just play just outside of some cover, and then if the Reyna Lear comes through, you duck behind it and kind of wait it out." The problem for that is that there isn't cover everywhere in the game. Like, you can't always have that be possible, and it just limits the angle. Like, it limits the angles you take
you can hold from
all the time. You're just supposed to be scared of out in the open constantly against a Reyna? That's not great design.
It's
just too much area control for her.
The equivalent would be, so a lot of players don't do this because they're still learning the game, but if you see that they have Brimstone ult, you shouldn't be playing in areas where you can be caught out with a Brimstone ult. That, like on Split with the rope room in the middle of the map, or
lamps
in Bind. Should $100 ability, is it $100 or is it $200? $200? Even still, should a $200 ability have that much power over you to dictate where you should be holding?
Yeah, I don't think so personally.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Fair enough.
Over to the new map, Ascent. We've had a bit of time to play it. I think after playing this map, it's one of my favorites personally. Just in terms of the way it plays, it's the most CS-like map we've got. In a lot of ways, it's the sites. There's a lot of cover areas. There's a lot of places to hold from the sites themselves, which kind of supports anchoring. Mid control is especially important. It's got a lot of similarities. It's almost like a weird lucid dream version of Dust 2 in a lot of ways.
You think Dust 2?
In a way that it does play, because you've got the mid, and then you've got the catwalk, and then it goes into like short that moves into A. It in some ways it is kind of, but obviously in a lot of ways not. But yeah, it's interesting how much mid control, how much importance that one area has.
I actually think mid isn't
one of my
that
favorite
strong.
maps.
You don't think mid's that strong?
I actually think what's really fun about this map, and I do agree with you, is that mid is good, yes. And the way that they designed the chokes are rather interesting. But if you wanted to play like a push, like mid is not like an area necessarily to hold rather than take over and then advance from, if that makes sense. So it's just like you're like, at first I thought you just needed to have someone always at mid. Like on defense mostly, I always thought you needed to have someone at mid, but like it's actually not as prevalent. I don't know, maybe it sounds weird. I just saw like a lot of different defensive holds on this. And I think one of the big problems this game has with players at lower levels is that they'll commit to an area for like a super long time and then they get super predictable. And then at that point, like, you know, the map's already won. Being able to like move around and change the looks and who is holding what where. Like if let's say you wanted to get aggro and fight for the orb on A side or on B side, right? B side's the swamp area, I think. If you wanted to get aggressive on that one and play for orb, that's good. You know, you can. There's an orb that also plays for the advantage of the other team on the opposite side on long. Like I think there's just like mid is important. I'm not saying it's like not. I just think it's like this map gives you, I think, the most variety on attacks aside from Haven, and that's why I like it. Like Split is pretty like get mid. Like if you don't get mid, you will more than likely lose. Even with the updates, mid is still super important. It's just harder to hold, right? Bind is, you know, kind of like a more of a lurk split approach. You're always usually going to be splitting sites. And in this one, you actually can bull rush a site because the defensive options aren't as prevalent and the offensive options aren't. So like everyone's kind of at a disadvantage, it almost feels like. I think it's a really good map.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I think like it's not as one-dimensional as everything else. Oh, look at this as well, though. Have you seen this on Reddit? This Sova defending B. This wall is made of cardboard, by the way. Absolute cardboard.
Yeah, I shoot Odin through there a lot. It's fun.
Yeah, and you can just wall bang all the way through it. But you do have many options as the attackers. That's so ridiculous, isn't it? You're just shooting the recon dart through, and then just wall banging with the Odin.
Oh my god,
dude!
It's ridiculous. But you can go for heavy B pushes, heavy A pushes, and you can. What I think is the difference is that if you have mid control, you can start creeping behind, and it becomes very difficult for the defenders to get a good idea of where everybody is. Whereas on the other maps, because they're just like kind of tight funnels, you always have some idea of where the attackers are. I think this might be the only attacker favored map that we have.
You think it's attacker favored?
I don't know whether that's going to bear out in terms of pro play, but just from my week of playing, it does seem like of all of the maps, it might be attacker favored.
The one thing that I would agree with you there, though, with it being attacker favored, one sort of thing I can add to the argument of that is that when you're holding mid, because of the inherent peeker's advantage when you're playing online with ping difference, and the bigger the ping difference between you and an opponent, the more prevalent peeker's advantage is. When you're holding from cubby on the defender side or even mid, you are essentially holding down an angle and you're waiting for them to peek. That's actually a downside, I think. So you're kind of encouraged to kind of peek late and give them space on mid a little bit because you don't want to be the one holding that angle to get pre-fired when they peek out from the A link or from top mid. You don't want to be the one to be out in the open first to get second peaked, and then suddenly you get screwed by the peeker's advantage or whatever else. I'm not going to blame my tournament loss on that, per se. Josh was playing with me. I didn't have a good showing.
We lost the tournament on Ascent yesterday.
Didn't have a good showing. I was holding cubby. I was holding catwalk.
Bren was getting fucking boomed when he was open from there, actually.
I got absolutely rolled. And
but it is a good point because you think about like Dust 2, because we were making this comparison previously. The classic AWP battle on Dust 2 is from the spawn down through double doors. But you can't pre-fire because even though those gaps are pretty small, like you can still be holding on the right-hand side of spawn or the left-hand side of spawn. So somebody that's coming through the disadvantaged area at double doors can't really, like, they could pre-fire right side spawn, but there's not a guarantee that you're holding there. If you are on Ascent, you can pre-fire cubby, and there's like almost a guarantee where the guy's going to be because the angle is so tight. If they opened up that angle a little bit, it would be massively defender's advantage, that angle. But you really can like pre-fire it and you're almost guaranteed to hit somebody.
I think a slight change they could make, and this is going to sound weird, but you know the barrier that stops you in cubby from holding? I don't know how to explain it. If they just move that forward so that you could choose either the left side or right side of cubby to peek from at the start, That would
like
be
the spawn shield thing.
Yeah, from the spawn shield. That would be a pretty big change because you already gain advantage. You already gain the positioning early enough. And I think if you're quick enough with an ability like Raise Pack or Jet Dash, you can. What is this clip here?
Look at this.
What
shenanigans?
5-man sloth. They plant at the edge of the site, and then they walk.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Into secret. It's so fun. I really
you
enjoy
can wall
playing
bang through the ceiling.
You can. Really?
Yes,
you can.
Pretty effectively. So this seems like some iron shit to me. You know what I mean?
What do you mean with the way those two people are just strafing in unison with each other back and forth?
Well, I think I would be a little bit confused as to what they were doing, but then I would just start pre-firing the shit out of the ceiling. Like, I'd be above them, just firing down in all the common angles, trying to get a pick. And chances are you'd get it as well, because you got like, what, a 50% chance of shooting their head when you're going down. So,
yeah. That is some iron level shit.
That is some iron stuff. I mean,
I'm definitely going to try it, though.
That's what makes it fun. Like, you know, when you do something like that on unrated, and then your teammates are just like, what are you doing?
It's not an iron thing. It's a Reddit strat. And it's the Reddit strats that I hate the most out of anything in this game. There's a couple of Reddit things that people do. When I was playing in ranked, when they released that shit, the amount of times I get a Reddit omen on my team, and I call them Reddit omens because they always do the exact same stuff. They saw those 2 montages that made it to the top of the fucking Valorant Reddit of somebody placing 2 smokes and TPing into it and killing someone, and that's all they do. The entire game is try that shit, and they've somehow made it into Diamond, and they can't press any further up because they're garbage at every other aspect of the game.
The Valorant Reddit strats is the equivalent of like the general Overwatch subreddit play of the game clips of like, look how good I am, and it's like just a boop off of the map of somebody, and 1,000 people are like, wow, that's sick, I'm gonna do that, and like then you end up with fucking TPing Omen into everyone.
Ilios well boop, right? Like that one. Like that's always the one you get. Yeah, the Reddit Lucio. That's where you get it.
Reddit Lucio. There's Reddit omens in this game.
Reddit omens, dude.
To just bring it back though to Ascent, I do think it is a really good map. I also like the fact that they're doing these maps with gimmicks. I know this seems a little odd, especially coming from like a Halo player who.
Do you actually like the walls?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's like it's an extra. It's not that strong, right? No. That's number one. So it's not that powerful. So that part of it doesn't really like bother me all that much. And if anything, it's just like a delaying thing. I do like the fact you can open it and close it though. I don't know if people know that, but you can open and close them.
Yeah. The dynamic map stuff is something that I've always like with Call of Duty like not enjoyed. And I don't think the Valorant ones have been bad thus far. I actually don't really mind the doors. I think the teleporters are cool. I think the idea of having 3 sites on a map is actually pretty awesome, like in terms of like creating like a good flow of play. I do worry because we've seen some crazy shit in the past from other games. Do you remember Recovery in Advanced Warfare? That was a map that opened up into another map.
Yes. What?
Yeah.
It was so it was a map, and then the back of the map had these big massive silo doors, and halfway through the map like a missile would go off and it would blow those doors open, and there would be this jungle area out there, and the objectives would then move into the jungle area. So you would just be like, but then you could still spawn like in the other map, and you'd have to run to the new map.
It's so poorly done.
That's
stuff like that has scarred me forever with dynamic maps. So maybe I'm just or they had that biolab map that just had like canisters that would go by. It was like a biolab, and it just had canisters, and you needed like 3 bullets to hit them, and it would just blow up and do explosive AoE damage that could just kill anybody. Like stuff, like I just get scared with stuff with dynamic maps.
But these aren't dynamic maps, in my opinion. These are just gimmick maps. Like, or each map has a gimmick.
The teleporters are dynamic. I mean, it's a game changing way the maps play.
Well, what I mean by I'm not saying a gimmick in a negative context, by the way. I'm just saying like this is the 3 bomb site map. This is the teleport map.
Unique
this is the map with doors.
Something unique.
This is the map with ropes like that, or this is map with weird high ground
underwater
ropes.
map.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, this is the snow map with ice in the middle of
One
it.
with
You
no
know?
gravity.
This is your escort mission map. Yeah.
Hostage rescue.
Hostage.
I'm gonna play the role of the grumpy old man here. The reason I don't like the doors on it, thank you. The reason I don't like the doors on Ascent is because most of the time they're useless, but the only time they're really useful is if you're in. So basically, when you're trying to retake a site and there's only a couple of you alive and you're trying not to give away where you are. So imagine on A, let's take A as an example. If the attackers who've already planted the bomb close the door and you're trying to get back into the site and you're trying to creep so that you're not giving them information on where you're coming from, you're now funneled into only two areas. You can either go the balcony at the back, kind of heaven area, or you can go A main. And if you break open the door, you've given away all of the intel of where you are. And the same applies to B. You can either go from spawn or you can go from B main. And so it makes it way easier for the attackers to just lock down the bomb site. And I think it makes it much more difficult for cool retake clutches to happen, where people are very skillfully denying information to their opponent and then hitting big clutches. I think it just funnels you into smaller and smaller areas. And yeah, you could just break open the doors, but then you're just essentially announcing exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And if something doesn't have much impact except to deny cool clutches, then I think it's probably like not that great of an addition to a game.
Very old man of you.
I know.
I think that's fair, though.
It's quite niche, but that's what I found when I've been
put
playing.
it like
The only time I'm ever worried about a door is if I'm creeping around in like a 1v3 and I'm trying to clutch, and then I see the door close and I'm like, well, fuck, now I've only got like one place that I can go and I'm probably gonna lose. But if the door was open, I would have more freedom.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that's a good assessment. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, the only times the wall bothers me is when I'm trying to be in that 1v3 clutch situation.
Well, I think don't be in a 1v3. You trash cans.
Yeah.
That's one.
Well, hold up.
Just never let the other 4 players on your team die, forehead.
I mean, it goes without saying. Play Sage, noobs. Jeez, you know.
Like,
all we need is
an AOE healer behind a $10 paywall. Maybe that'll happen.
Moira to the game.
I don't understand Moira. Could you imagine a damage orb? Oh my lord, I would fucking lose it.
I would uninstall.
Yeah, there's so many ways.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine on defense on split throwing a Moira orb down mid and just like
just sucking the energy out of
everybody.
I don't think we're ever going to get to that point. Although, I don't know if you guys saw, but there has been
the turret guy
leaks on the turret guy. I don't know if that was a topic you guys
were
going
to do that though, because this seems like something that they might have been in development and then they were like, actually.
Well, no, like so there's like posters and like lore stuff in the game.
Do you know where we could find this so that Kurt can bring it up? Because I've never seen this before.
I can find it.
When I tried to dig on it, the only thing I found was like clickbait 10-minute YouTube videos where they didn't even discuss it. They were just it was just gameplay of them running around the range.
The guy who leaked it, I would check the Clickheads video on it because that's the best one. The guys who leaked it, or the guy who leaked it, is the dude that leaked Reyna, and as codename Vampire, and was pretty accurate on pretty accurate on everything that was leaked. I don't know if Lear was a part of that leak, but I do know that it was an agent that absorbed health and had like vampiric qualities to her.
There was already like, so there's a thing in the battle pass. It's like a yellow like icon that kind of alludes to this character. And then there's also voice lines, whether I don't know if they've been data mined or whether they're in the game already, that refer to the character. I think it's like either Killjoy or Bombjoy. I forget the name of it. No,
it's Bombshell.
Bombshell. Yeah.
Bombshell, and
it's supposed to be like a German engineer.
And the idea is that, which makes sense, Volkswagen. And I think it's something with a mech, because Jett says something along the lines of, this is why is he or she so short?
Yeah.
Why is she so short, or she so tall? Something like that. It's very odd. Very weird.
Yeah, they've also like data mined. Okay, so I have a video I'll send to Kurt.
We've got
I think Kurt's got something up at the moment.
Kurt just found some next level stuff.
Yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Yo, Kurt, are you Inspector Gadget, dude?
Looking at AI. So there's the mech thing that Golden Boy was talking about. There's also like a small model for like a mini turret, like a Torbjorn style turret. And then there's also an animation that's been added to where so
guys, give me 1 second. Something very important is happening at my front door. Sorry.
Okay. So there's already stuff in the code that says like play that like has like turret deploy built in. And then there's one that has a code that's in there for an orbital laser equip ability.
Yeah, you're right, Matt, when you've been saying it's a dangerous game they're playing.
So the one thing that's the one thing that has been like a data mine, there's like a model for it, and there's a model for other heroes. It's a storm drone bot. And it looks like hold on, I'll send Kurt the video that I have here. It's from the hit scan guys, the Ryan and Isa.
Yeah.
But the model is like it's like a little cylinder that has like propellers on it, and then they also have animations of the characters kind of removing it from the top of their heads. So it looks like something that could then like go towards a character and like get on another thing that you have to potentially shoot that then would go on your head if you don't shoot it.
Are you guys gonna hate this then?
Well, like
my lord.
If you go to the timestamp,
oh my god.
If you go to this timestamp, I'll send to Kurt.
We can see an animation right now of like Phoenix pulling something off his head.
Yeah, so you can see the animation of people pulling things off of their head, and that may be something that's a flyable,
like a head crab from Half-Life.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
Am I just being a grumpy old man that like? Am I one of those people that wants this game to be like CS? Am I the problem? Like all of this stuff just worries me. It just worries me. There's like so many ways to fuck this game up, and I really love it at the moment.
If you want, just go play Counter-Strike.
Because this game, I really love it. I think it's sick. But I do think that if you had like Moira orbs flying around, that this game would be ruined so quickly.
You have to be willing to accept that they're going to do things differently because they're going to push.
It's not about
it. No, they're going to push the boundaries of it.
It's not about different stuff. It's about like taking control away and like having like seeking abilities and stuff. It's just
you don't want to be different.
Design.
You don't want to be different for the sake of being different. You want to still have a design philosophy for a tactical shooter. When I was watching Riot Morello's stream, I think it was Riot Morello. He's one of the lead character developers. So basically, he, from what he was saying on stream, I think it was Riot Morello. I hope I'm not
probably is. Morello's pretty outspoken.
He's just streaming it all.
He was saying how he kind of just like green lights a lot of it, and they get there's other guys on the team who essentially come up with a concept because they have more experience in tactical shooters. So they come up with the kits, and then the kits get applied later on to different characters.
But I think to Golden Boy's point, the game's not really designed to be Counter-Strike. It's to take the model of Counter-Strike and kind of flip it on its head with different types of abilities and gameplay mechanics.
To finish my point as well, it sounded like from what he was discussing that they do think about how would this fit into a tactical shooter. But maybe they just got the balance wrong on it, right? Because I mean, Reyna's blind is a concept that you could quite easily, I think, tone down in a lot of ways.
Could you?
Yes, you can make it so that she only has one. You can make it so it only has one health, so it only needs a hit from anything to kill. You could make it so that the AoE radius is reduced. There's a lot of things you could change, and you could maybe just apply all of them. And suddenly she would be in a way worse position because that way you can only get impact on her if you actually
but then you wouldn't nuke a character like that to the ground right away because
then they can't make money from it.
So someone told me this actually. I don't play League of Legends. You guys do. But I am familiar with this logic in Smite. And this is something that they did there. They also did it with Paladins too, because Paladins was pure free to play, right? Was that they'll just purposely release an agent overtuned or a character overtuned, and then they'll nerf it later. And I understand the logic behind it. It's because you want to sell that agent or character. You want to generate revenue from it with skins and all these other things. But you also want to see how far the character can be taken. And then I guess for some, it's like better to release something that is overpowered and then tuned rather than release something that's underpowered and then never used and you don't get data. Kind of like Orisa. You know, like Orisa was just not even useful
when she first came out.
I think that the monetization of it, though, where you have to buy the characters, is one part of it, sure, but also Dota does the exact same thing, and every character in Dota, every hero in Dota is free. When they release a new hero in Dota, it's pretty rare, but when it happens, it's always overtuned. Like, the character's always busted.
I also think there's something kind of... I mean, League of Legends, like, the new characters are always pretty strong.
Because it's exactly what GB said. It's like
Senna,
it's much easier to go backwards than forwards.
Right. I think the crappy part for shooting game players who have never experienced this type of system before, that'll be like a big shock to them, because there's no other shooter that kind of has maybe like Paladins. I'm not really too familiar with it, Alex, if they're behind like if some of the characters like they get released, the new ones, and you have to pay to get them. But
Rainbow Six, I think, does that though. Doesn't Rainbow Six do that? Like every new operator is behind a paywall, and when you buy the game, you only get the basic ones.
It's usually, I think Rainbow Six does it like they're almost like tied to like a battle pass type of system where you get two, you get one for offense, one for defense, and you get the content.
Oh no, I don't know if it's a battle pass or their season. I could probably ask Parker. Parker could probably tell me.
Seasons, I think you're right, Alex. But like the one thing that does stink is like, let's say you spend $10. Let's say if you're a player out there and you only have $10 to spend, and there's a ton of different agents that you could possibly get, to buy like Reyna, like the new one, and then have her get nerfed to the ground like a week later, and then just be like shit out of luck with your $10 would kind of suck.
Yeah. I think it's fine to tune down. I just don't want the concept of the abilities to be taking control away from people.
So you want more power to go back into like the gunplay and the out.
I think as long as you stick to the philosophy of the abilities complementing gunplay instead of either taking away from them or replacing them, then you're in a good position. Like that's fine.
I just don't think anything inherently takes away from gunplay in this game, including Reyna's ability. Yes, is it strong, but it doesn't take away from gunplay. Like,
no, that one doesn't actually.
And the other thing too that I know that people are going to be like, yes, perfect world, but we live in an imperfect world. But the idea, and Riot have been very crystal clear about this, is teamwork. They are very adamant on the aspect of teamwork. And the thing that I found to be the easiest when it came to dealing with Reyna was, I told a buddy of mine, you just charge. As soon as that orb comes out, I'm shooting it. You don't have to worry about it. Just go. Right. Yeah. And it works. Like, it works. That orb doesn't even make it to the point where it like fully populates before I kill it. And then because I play Brim, so I like to play more of that support side rather than like trying to entry frag. I just can't do that to save my life. And it works, right? And you have to play around that. Now, that said, in pro play, I mean, we saw how Reyna was played out in a few of these tournaments, so I'm sure we'll get to in a little bit, but I didn't feel the impact immediately of Reyna, maybe because people are still like learning her, but I didn't feel the impact. And this reminded me a lot of Raze, where at lower level play, Raze was dominating because people are bad and they don't know how to play around it. And they're just like, you guys said I wasn't going to die from an explosion. Meh. You know, like that was them. That was all the iron and bronze players. Meanwhile, I'm in my perch of in diamond glory, not even dying to nades because I'm so like freaking wrinkly in my brain that I know that it's just displacement. It's not meant to kill.
Raze is still getting a lot of play at a pro level, though.
Well, yeah, because the rocket is good, right? But again, it's another ability.
It's
the Roomba.
It's the Roomba.
Oh, the Roomba's good too.
Yeah, and
her grenade is a great displacement. It's really awesome, but she's not as powerful as she once was because they turned her back. You can't buy those anymore. Like there were just some things that like I respect, and honestly I see them doing the same thing with Reyna. I think that their fallback, and it's worked for them so far, has been kill to earn. I actually think was a pretty clever mechanic that they introduced that actually has gone unnoticed by a lot of the community. Like the fact that you chuck a raise nade, wonderful. If you got a kill, you got another, or if you got a double or whatever, you got another one, or if you get two, you get another one. I think they're going to do the same thing with Reyna, where the only thing you buy on her is her abilities that only come online when you get a kill, and then they're probably just going to make that ability be Lear be a what do they call that? An ability earned by kills. I could see that and making it only one. I could see that happening.
Replenished.
Thank you,
Replenished. That. Thank you.
I don't know what the actual word.
Yeah, if you're new to our shows, this is pretty frequent of our host. He's either eating just like candy from all over the world and not really kind of engaging in conversation, or just usually eating burgers. Yeah.
Not steering us onto the next topic.
The next topic would be Twitch rivals.
No, it's not.
It is.
Okay.
Because you haven't been looking at the chat, but it is.
Riot Esports plans.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
I'm the host. Look at me.
Okay.
Look at me. I am the host.
Well, I have to leave at 1:15, but okay.
I am the host. Riot Esports.
Alex, what do you think about this guy as a host? He sucks.
By the way, Parker did get back to me. Each season, you can either buy the operators with renown in-game currency or Rainbow Six credits currency you have to purchase, or you can purchase the season's pass and you get the operators whenever they release for that entire year. So that's actually not that bad.
What?
So what
have you seen the stuff that Riot announced a little bit about their esports plans a while back?
Have they changed it?
No, what do you mean? Have they changed it?
Have they changed any of their plans?
I mean, they haven't. They've been on like the ESPN did a show recently where they had some of the Riot people on. I can't remember the guy who's in charge of their esports.
I think it was Waylon.
Yeah, Waylon. That's it.
Waylon.
And he was talking about the fact that they haven't made a decision long term whether to keep with like a CS style structure or a franchise structure. Like those decisions have not been made for the long term, but they are planning to just work with people in the short term. Like you can see in this plan of the competition tiers that they've already released this document that they are planning to have some kind of circuit that's going to be them working with like the ESL and DreamHacks of the world and whoever wants
they need to
them.
I mean that makes total sense, and I'm happy they haven't like pushed forward with like a plan yet, like how you mentioned William was talking about. I didn't see the ESPN piece. I knew he was the one that was doing it though. Where like, do you keep it open? Do you keep it like, do you make it a league? Is it franchise? Like, how does that work? Because I think the community should dictate some of that. And then also you only have 4 maps. So you probably need the game to mature a little bit more before like, before there's probably more, I don't want to say more serious competition, because I think the competition will always be serious, but a little bit competition that has grander stakes probably needs to have a little bit more features built into the observing client and also the game itself.
Yeah, the having done a few tournaments now at this point, there's some that Riot like have been directly involved in behind the scenes. There are others that Riot have kind of just like taken a step back, but then like advised on. Like I know that all of the initial tournaments that you guys saw pop up, like Nerd Street Gamers and stuff, or not Nerd Street, sorry, the T1 Valorant Invitational. I believe there was the 100 Thieves one with the creators there. A lot of that was actually backed by Twitch, what people may not know. So because of COVID-19, Twitch was going out there just trying to support as much content as they possibly could. Something I wish they were a little bit more public about, because it actually would have garnered them a lot of community favor, but you know, whatever. So, or at least I think it would have, but people always find something to complain about.
Yeah.
So, so they were out there supporting a lot of it, and Riot was kind of giving them the blessing and saying like, yeah, you know, like go for it. And then there were like the other smaller ones, like the Nerd Street Gamers events, that those were very well run, but again, blessing by Riot, but not directly supported, right? Obviously. I like the idea of where they're going with here. Look, the fact of life is that we are not going to have an event in a live setting in 2020. I don't think we're going to have one. We're not going to have one until we get the virus vaccine sorted out, which recent reports have been proclaiming a 2021 potential distribution, and we're talking
like
in the tens of millions. Yeah. Q1 tens of millions. I mean, that's hopeful given what happened with the virus. I don't really have a lot of hope there.
Yeah, the Rock will hook you up.
Yeah, for sure. I'll hit up DJ. But that said, I think we're going to continue to see these medium tournaments be a thing. And this will be the middle tier businesses, brands, esports orgs, influencers. This is going to become the major, quote unquote, I think, for the time being, because we're not going to have that option. And then think about it like this. A lot of these companies, like I've been talking to a lot of different groups about working gigs for them and their teams. Like a lot of teams, like I'm doing the Immortals one this week, right? Or this weekend on Monday.
Immortals First Light, that one is.
Yeah.
So those are, I think, going to become the normal, and I actually kind of dig it, and I'm okay with it.
That's cool.
The T1 event that we did, me and Puckett, and then Puckett did it with Pansy. That was that awesome. Was cool. And then I think events like Twitch Rivals are going to become less frequent as far as the the importance of them, right? I think that this launch showdown for Twitch Rivals is probably the last of its kind with the caliber of talent that we saw, given also how mixed the results were, because there's no world where CDN, who is a fun player and he's a good player, like he knows the game, he grinds it every day. There's no world where CDN can beat Team Brax. Like it's just like you're asking him to beat T1.
Yeah, the Twitch Rivals, the Twitch Rivals stuff, I think should really just be about like I think like the best team should play in the stuff like the medium-sized tournaments like you're talking about. I think the Twitch Rivals stuff, there needs to be something that engages content creators to keep making content for this game and playing it consistently. And I think Twitch Rivals is a really good vehicle for that. And then putting those content creators up against like top players,
that doesn't make sense.
It's just brutal for everybody, right? Like it's brutal for the top players because they're like, oh my god, we're just like beating the crap out of these guys, and then it's bad for the content creators because like what content are you making getting just like stomped? So it's also kind
of bad for the viewers as well, because I was looking forward to Twitch Rivals and then I kind of saw the teams and I was like, man, it kind of sucks that these pro teams have been fucked up by having one streamer on each team. But I was also, I mean, we did have some full teams. And some teams that were like the streamer was as good. I mean, T1 was the full team, right? Like that was just straight up a full team. And actually C9 was their full team that they've been using in tournaments as well. But they ended up going out in groups, so I don't even know what happened to them. Like, okay, Tens is the only guy that's signed, but the rest of them have been playing with C9. They won a recent tournament as well where they beat like TSM and High Ground, which, okay, like I don't think that Cloud9 are the best team in NA, but I think that they're pretty decent, and I thought they'd get out of groups.
Was C9 in Group A?
No.
Yes, they were.
Wait, sorry, they were.
Group A was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it kind of was. But they lost to like Team Dizzy, and Team Dizzy just was the Sentinels players. Team. Yeah, it was Sentinels with Corey, and actually it wasn't all of the Sentinels.
That actually wasn't that. Well. No, that team wasn't a bad team. Like Sinatra, Corey, Dizzy, like and then also like Sinatra was doing some crazy shit too. Like keep that in mind.
Yeah,
but,
I'm gonna be.
I mean, Cloud9 are a much better team than Sentinels in the last tournaments.
Yeah, if we're talking about Twitch Rivals now. My God, I know GB, you had nothing to do with this. Obviously, you're the commentator, and when you get hired for events like this, the amount that you can affect things like this is.
What
very
do you
limited.
mean? The commentators are in charge of everything: the sound, the bracket.
But my God,
what are you talking about?
What the fuck were they doing with the seeding of this tournament? If you look at the seeding of the way these groups were set up, I mean, Group D was just a myth. Like, just, and I don't mean team myth. Like, what is this, man?
Well,
like,
they were probably just randomly selected. It wasn't like they probably did like proper.
But, okay, you want a good tournament. First of all, you got to try and spread out the good teams, you know, the wealth a little bit, right? The teams that you expect to go far just by looking at it. Okay, spread it out a little bit, make it so that there's not so many one-sided matches.
Right.
Second to that, what else did they do that was just ridiculous in Twitch Rivals? It was the map pick that I was watching, and I was like,
I was perplexed by that.
Are you kidding me? They did their system. I questioned
that on air, by the way.
Explain how that works, because I think I missed this.
The system of them picking maps was, I think, higher seed picked the first map, and then it was losers pick after that. But maps didn't get taken out of the pool, so you could replay maps you had already played.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there were games where they were playing bind twice.
No. That's not the issue of having 4 maps, Matt. Because you know what? When you have a best of 3 and you have 4 maps,
get them in.
You should just play the majority of the maps. That part actually, like, I questioned it on air because I was like, that makes 0 sense whatsoever.
Makes no sense.
So they just lost on Haven. They got dominated on Haven because Wardell was like having his way with them. And then out of nowhere, they're just like, oh, we're just gonna take it back to Bind where we destroyed you. That makes no sense.
The groups thing, Bren, you can't really win either way, because if you actually just kind of go through and put teams in individual groups, one team will end up with a harder group and they will complain that everything was kind of set up. Whereas random, like, it's shittier, but there's no real argument.
I'm gonna be real with you,
because
Matt.
it's random.
You tell those streamers to fuck off because this is a tournament. This is a tournament for the viewers. It's for the viewer experience.
But I think though, like, to what me and Golden Boy were talking about before, like, Twitch Rivals should be about the streamers, and there should be like other tournaments already in line for these other teams. Like, the issue is that there's no other tournaments yet, so these other teams are playing in Twitch Rivals. Like, Twitch Rivals should be mostly the content creators.
Well, the problem was the actual implementation of what we ended up seeing here, right? Because what they did was they essentially said, "Hey, content creator Myth, go ahead and pick the team that you want to play with." And then Myth was like, "Tight, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna hit up like Wardell or Cutler and say, hey, can we do this?" And you know, like, that's the issue. So Twitch did this thing, and this isn't like really a knock on Twitch. Like, I get it. Like, they just wanted to do something fun. So I'm not gonna like knock them on it because you know it is what it is. But the thing is that they had this problem before when like PUBG was the craze, and it was called Broadcaster Royale was the old format that then became Twitch Rivals, because I hosted Broadcaster Royale for them at PAX East. You had a combination of pro players. You had like literally the Envy Pro PUBG team going up against Anthony Confan and like, you know, his and I forget, I think he was playing with Lexi, like Let's Get Lexi and something like that. And they were hilarious and great and fun, and there were personalities, but they're playing against freaking pros. Like, what do you expect them to do? These are people who have coaches who analyze freaking rotations. Like, what are they supposed to do? So they changed it to make it streamer focused. And then they have this tournament where you literally have Team Myth, or not even Team Myth. Let's move away from Team Myth.
TSM.
You have T1 Esports. No, because I'm just saying, like, Myth isn't a part of that team, but more on that later. Team T1 Esports, who are in the same competition, and I love these people to death because I watch them every week. For Team Austin Creed, you had Xavier Woods, Adam Cole, Tyler Breeze, and Cesaro and Dankops. Like, they're playing for fun. Like, they have no desire to participate in stuff like this moving forward if they're gonna have to go up against freaking brats and the entirety of T1 Esports.
Which I think you can make the argument like having the streamers play in this and then lose to pros only hurts kind of the community, because maybe those streamers are just like, well, shit, I'm not gonna play in the next one. Like, why the hell would I do that? Like, I'm just gonna get rolled.
Well, it's good content
have
for them,
fun,
regardless.
you know?
Like, even if you get rolled, it's still good content, I think. But
it's
if you balance
not.
out, it is because the
was
viewership
for
has
Austin
increased
For
across the board.
Austin Creed, I
when
mean,
they're streaming on their Twitch Rivals tournament, their viewership goes up massively.
He convinced everyone round 13 for a knife round. So actually, he had a great time. It was actually really funny.
But yeah, I agree with you guys. But the thing really that Twitch Rivals did for me was just hype up the idea of these serious tournaments now that we're in launch. And Immortals First Light. Oh, also, I should mention quickly that we didn't really talk too much about the European one, the European Twitch Rivals, but Team On Screen was the Fish 123 team. and they were playing with on screen. And then Fish 123 also played in a Take the Throne tournament where they lost a map to a like non-top 10 team. And in both of those, they weren't playing with Ardis. Ardis went and played for Prodigy in the European version. Dude, Ardis is insane.
Ardis might be the best opper in the
Ardis
world.
might be the best player. Like it's it's crazy.
He's unreal.
And that Prodigy team just looked ridiculous with him on it as well. Just absolutely bonkers. Like Scream and Ardis and Mixwell on the same team is crazy. I'm so hyped for this Immortals First Light tournament in America. And then there's a Valorant Prodigies tournament happening over in Europe as well.
You're just skipping ahead all sorts, you know?
Oh, sorry.
We had to run a show and you just want to talk about everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I see how it is.
I'm properly hyped for it, though, because it's our first, like, real big tournaments that are happening in launch.
I'm going to bring it back to an overarching point I wanted to make earlier when we were discussing the overall Riot Esports plans. We don't have to go back to that topic, but this is something because it's kind of applicable here to Twitch Rivals. I think the age of grassroots growing in esports is over. I don't think you can do it anymore. And people always threw shade at Overwatch for essentially, you know, the creation of the Overwatch League because they were saying it was artificially pumped up or whatever. When was the last time we saw a grassroots esports game in the last 2 years, 3 years made and succeed? Like actually succeed? A grassroots in the last 2 to 3 years.
Like, what do you mean by put grassroots to?
Like, as in, you've given it to the third-party companies, and they are running the tournaments based on your.
I actually think Rainbow Six Siege has done a good job.
But Rainbow Six has been going for a longer time than 2 to 3 years. Like, I would argue that Rainbow Six Siege, when the pro scene of that really like started growing, when they were really investing into that game, was right on the cusp of when esports was young enough that you could just build up the player base and naturally gravitate into it. I don't think you can do that anymore with games. And this is what Riot are trying to do, where I think it feels childish in a way, looking from the outside in, looking at Riot's approach, because I think they look at Overwatch and like, we're not going to be like Overwatch. We're going to be grassroots. And then now they've got viewership that is tanking. No tournaments on the horizon because no organizations really want to be running that many tournaments, because how do you earn any fucking money from it when the viewership isn't even that good in the first place? Like, you need to invest money, I think, to even get the ball rolling.
I think there's two different like things you're looking at here. Like, are you referring to grassroots? Okay, so are you referring to like any of those companies running anything, or running things for a developer? Like, what is your problem here? Like, what are you saying is not existent anymore? Like, are you saying that
I don't think you can take this hands-off approach where you give just the raw baseline guidance and you know, whatever license fees, and then say, okay, you guys can run whatever tournaments you want, just got to run it by us and we'll double check it, but you guys are running it. I think you need to have a bit more of a hands-on approach. I think you need to do what Epic Games did with Fortnite, a bit of a bad example, but they were running their own tournaments, investing their own money, and they created a pro scene out of seemingly nothing.
I think that's what Riot are planning to do, though. They've said that they're going to be putting money into some of the
later, isn't it?
Tournament.
I think it's.
I don't
they
think
said they wanted to be grassroots.
No.
This in their opening statement, in their press release, they said they wanted it to be grassroots.
I think when they say
direct shot taken at games like Overwatch or Fortnite.
No, I think when they say grassroots, I think they mean not owned and operated by them. Like, I don't think that means that they're not going to partner and help people put on events, because I even think with the way things are going, like. They could be like, hey, in a few years they can turn around and say, hey, we want to do a league and we'll partner with 3 other TOs and they can operate the league, right? Where I think that's where I think they're grassroots, a lot like I think Golden Boy was talking earlier about console, where people kind of took their wording one way and really it was kind of meant another. I think the wording grassroots was more meant to, like, we're not going to turn this into the LCS in a month. We're going to partner with people and let them run it, and then see what it is.
I think just to be very clear, though, that I wouldn't be shocked if a ton of their plans just got sidelined because of COVID-19.
Also that.
And
sure.
I think that's probably the biggest. I mean, dude, look at the Overwatch League this year. Do you think that we would actually be going into a tournament style, or the Summer Showdown and all these other things? It would have been, exactly. It would have been way more challenging to do if we were still doing homestands. I think the focus just would have been on homestands, and then that would have been it. But COVID-19 challenged everyone to think outside of the box and then change their entire approach to how they're going to actually implement and operate these events. So that's why I think that that Riot have just been very clear out of the gate, like, because if you come out right and say we are going to operate a pro league or pro circuit or something like that with the uncertainty of COVID-19, and as I said already, like I'm at this time last year, I was getting work for November of the year, right, of 2019. I am in now. I only really know what work I have for like the next like 2.5, 3 weeks, because the events are just popping up online and they're not planning events ahead of time. So that's why I don't think they committed to something. So
I'm not saying a circuit.
Yeah,
I'm not saying a franchising system. I'm not saying that. What I want to see from them, and this is something that I think Riot will do. I have no internal information of this, but I think this is the most correct course of action for them to take, given the fact that the streamer viewership has gone way down, way down. Like when Twitch Rivals was being ran, the concurrent viewers total was less than when League of Legends had nothing going on Twitch. Yeah. So the game is kind of struggling from a viewership perspective, and I think, Matt, you were the one who made this point, and I agree with it. You made it off stream or off the podcast, but you said that this game is going to rely on tournaments to carry the viewership rather than streamers. It's going to be a CS
it'll be
situation.
like Counter-Strike,
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. But what I think that they need to start doing is they need to start investing a bit of their own money, putting forward tournaments that is ran by Riot. And maybe that is a circuit, but I think just open tournaments that are ran by Riot with a lot of money on the line that can just generate some hype.
But that's not the way you would do it. And I'll tell you why. Because they start running their own tournaments, right? Then what does ESL, why do any of the other companies want to get involved? They're already doing their own thing. Like, you're going to get outshadowed by them. And then if you start running your own things, and then you can't convince anybody else to run anything, you're in a bigger drought of tournaments. Then you're in a longer drought. Like, and what I assume, like what Golden Boy talking about with like COVID-19, which is like a real thing, is like, you know, if the IEMs and dream hacks were going on, there would have been Valorant action there. Like,
your argument stands.
Yeah.
If it's attractive to run a tournament in the first place right now, which is not. And the whole reasoning behind me saying that they should run tournaments themselves is to make it more attractive, to draw in more viewership, to build it up for other tournaments to take on, for other organizers to take on.
But I think Matt's point is that you could do that without controlling the entire thing. Like, Riot can reach out to an ESL and say, hey, do you want to run an online tournament? We'll give you X amount of money.
That's a good way to do it, right?
And say that this will be an official tournament, and hey, run it.
Or Riot will support you in game, like promotion. Like, there's other ways to do that without them using,
without saying this is the Riot circuit, boom, this is the Riot tournament. It's like, hey, this is an ESL tournament, we're backing it and we're giving it X amount of money. I think that's the right way of doing it. And also, I think that there has been like a surge of grassroots tournaments. There's people running tournaments for this game pretty constantly for reasonable amounts of money. I mean, even in the beta, Fish123 won like 22K. There's a 10K tournament being run by Immortals just to show off their new roster. Like, there is interest in running tournaments for this game.
I will say, like, when I was working for a TO and I was operating events and holding tournaments and whatnot, one of the allures and the kind of nice perk about doing Call of Duty is that, like, Activision wasn't involved at the time, right? So you were one of the biggest fish there. You were never really kind of worried about them taking it in-house or something like that.
You always attract the big teams.
Yes, you always get the big teams. You were working hand in hand with Activision, like on the licensing and stuff. But you knew that they weren't going to come in and like kind of take your business. But then once like they decided to go in-house and do their own thing, a lot of the TOs got a little bit worried, right? And we've seen other Call of Duty open events pop up, but not to the same scale as it was prior to the CDL. Now, saying that, the CDL's a much healthier format than, you know, us putting people in a hotel convention hall and whatnot. And just, I mean, me and Alex working together PS4s. I think that's probably where, like, if I was like an external TO and I was looking at it and I was like, okay, I'm not really actually too concerned right now, because I would look at it and be like, okay, well, what's the viewership? Let's allocate like a prize of money that makes sense or the viewership and community of the game. And without their involvement, but with their blessing, you'd be able to grow something out of it. If they own the whole thing, you're kind of now just fitting into their pipeline, which isn't as, because you have to think these companies run so many different games that taking people off of other games just kind of fit in the pipeline to do this doesn't make much sense.
Riot needs to kind of be a hybrid almost of what they're currently doing with LCS, where they have their hand. Basically, it's going to sound weird. They will have to have their cake and eat it too, which is counter to what that phrase actually means. But the reason why I say that is because unlike Valve were just like, yeah, we're only going to step in when like, you know, things when like ESL is trying to like get exclusivity or Flashpoint's trying to get exclusivity or whatever, right? Like I don't want to get into that. Like we're only going to step in when someone's trying to like, you know, siphon from the overall community. I think Riot just needs to be more involved in the process and say, and this is something that I have heard that they have done. Because, for example, this Immortals event was actually supposed to happen this weekend, like that past weekend. And but Twitch Rivals was going on, and that was the focus. So to my understanding, and from what I heard through the grapevine, Riot was just like, hey, guys, you know, can you move it to the next weekend because we won't be able to support you. You know, if that's okay. And then apparently like they moved it, you know, to this upcoming weekend.
They talked about this in the ESPN show. They said, God, what's the name of the guy again? Waylon? Is that
just say, Magus. Right, Magus.
He said that they view themselves as the wardens of the space, and their primary role is going to be to help prop other people up and make sure that the schedules don't overlap as things go on. Because they've seen that in CS, you have overlapping tournaments and it just fucks people over. And I think that that's a good system. As long as they don't get too controlling with it, and as long as the TOs get what they need in order to operate, that's a good philosophy.
And so long as I get hired for every gig and I make a ton of money, then I'm good. And I'm all right with that. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I feel great right now. I feel it's a little weird though, because it kind of feels like a little bit of the Wild West.
Dude.
Yeah, it feels like the Wild West. Like I genuinely want to cast this game because for the longest time I tweeted about this. Everyone's always viewed me as a host. I won an award as a host, and I'm very grateful for, you know, the platitudes that I've received and, you know, the praise that I've gotten from my peers and stuff. But casting has been my passion for like you know, since the beginning. It's what I cared about. It's like when you guys were on the analyst desk and you were always like, I want to cast, and it's like, yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. You know,
that was a mistake.
Yeah, and I know that I bombed it. I know I bombed it with Overwatch, but I think had I stuck with it, I probably could have gotten a little bit better. I don't think nowhere near as good as the way you guys are right now. But this time around, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna stick with it. Like I'm gonna stick with it until I'm told, hey, you are not good. You know, and then I could say, fine, I will gladly back away because I did everything I could, and it was determined that I was not, in fact, very good.
Say, hey, you're not good. You will say, fine, I will back away with all of my money that I have hoarded up over the years.
Yeah, I will, or I will just host for you. Yeah.
You've got a tournament coming up, and I know that Matt has to leave in like 3 minutes. So I wanted to quickly get people's prediction.
Bren's now figuring out why we jumped ahead of some things because, you know, the guy who's reading the run of show chat clearly is staring at a blank screen, just fumbling through topics.
I want to get your predictions for the Immortals tournament, because that's the big tournament coming up. That's where our viewers should be watching, and it's got Immortals, Gen G, TSM, Cloud9, and a couple of other teams that are coming through the qualifier.
Can we take a look at the bracket?
Yeah, here it is. I mean,
it's
the
not
bracket
out yet fully,
but we know the invited teams.
Yes, yeah. So, what's your team to watch, GB? Who are you enjoying?
You know, I like I would say it would have been T1, but you know, and this is gonna sound a little weird, but given that I don't know what was up, man. T1 seemed like they did not, like, they struggled against TSM plus Myth.
Yeah.
You know, like and I think that they're good. I think T1 is good, but I do believe that TSM has I think TSM is a team to look out for. Let me just put it like, just to be upfront. I think TSM is a team to look out for in this.
I was gonna say TSM minus Myth as well. I think they looked really strong in the tournament. And I just like watching Wardell play. That guy's fucking sick.
He is. He's actually nasty. He's a really good AWPer.
I think
Rose is really good as well, actually.
Yeah, I think opping in this game it feels much more powerful than CS for a couple of reasons. I think the slower movement makes it more powerful. So when you have these star individual players like Wardell, Ardis, who are these elite oppers, and they're just demolishing everybody, making it look like they don't have limitations like they would, you know, like they don't need a rifle, they don't need the Vandal, they don't need a Phantom. They can often just spearhead any team to relevancy. Even when TSM were playing with Myth in that sort of pug team in the Twitch Rivals, Wardell was in some cases carrying his team on his back with his individual players. Not to discredit Sabrosa or Hayes, or not Hayes because Hayes wasn't playing in it, but Drone or any of the other players who were playing in it. But when you have those individual players who can really pop off, that's, I think, one of the makings, or one of the differences actually between Valorant and CS.
Are the qualifiers going to be stream GV or?
Yes, they are. They will be on Sunday. I'm not casting that one, but I will be watching it in chat and stuff.
So the mix-up?
You're casting one day, right?
I'm casting semifinals or the bracket play. So I'm casting the invited teams plus the teams that qualified through the competition.
You're casting Sunday.
No, Monday is actually the. I didn't know either.
Who's on mix-up?
Okay.
I don't know who's on mix. I think Swole Patrol is Freakazoid and
Poach. I think this is Poach from Fortnite, right?
Yeah. I don't know who's on mix though. I think this Immortals team might do pretty well. The Immortals team is a bunch of people that nobody's really heard of, but Gunber and Packing 10, for any Overwatch viewers, were the people that actually made this roster, and they went through like the classic Overwatch League trialing process. So they've brought a level of professionalism and like data analysis to it that nobody else really has, and they've made like one of the only teams.
Where's Gangster from?
Gangster is from fucking Mongolia.
He's actually from Mongolia?
Well, I don't know. He might be Mongolian and lives elsewhere, but
I mean, that's fucking dope.
I'm gonna be very blunt here, and I'm just look. I'm working for Immortals in this event, and I have nothing but love for that organization. But I just don't think that team's gonna make much of a dent. I don't think so. When
they were announced, they said that they had low hopes for not low hopes. That's maybe a wrong way of putting it. They basically said, like, I think it was Gumber on stream who was saying, he was having a YouTube video and he was like, we thought it would take a few weeks. You know, we said to the organization, okay, it's going to take us a few weeks to take these players. We believe they have potential. It'll take us a while to beat these top teams. And then they were playing scrims against Gen G and T1 and TSM, and they were just beating them in scrims like immediately. So I don't know whether that was just like a honeymoon period and they've cooled off since then. But I think that we're right at the beginning of an esport, and it's very possible for good players to get thrown together and become a good team. Because like Gen G are a group of friends, they're a previous team. TSM are a group of friends, they're a previous team. Cloud9, they haven't even signed anybody apart from Tens, but that's like a group that's been playing together for a while. None of these teams were really scouted and put together, and there was no conscious thought put into how these players would mesh together in the same level as like Immortals have done. So I think this team could upset some people.
Who's on mix-up?
I don't know. I don't know who's on mix-up, Brent.
Oh,
it doesn't say.
It doesn't even say.
Yeah, just as TBD. I actually don't know who's on mix-up. Swole Patrol has me interested though, because Swole Patrol, that's Poach, and I know that Poach has kind of been on the grind. I just don't know how serious I should be taking this team. Because I see Freakazoid and I'm like, wait, is that like the Freakazoid? You know, it makes me kind of excited, but I'm like, okay, I don't really know. Also, oddly enough, on Liquipedia, they're not listing T1, but I'm pretty sure T1 has been invited to this thing.
Have they?
Maybe they haven't been. Maybe they haven't accepted it. I'm not too sure.
When I read it was 6 invited teams and 2 open qualifiers.
Oh yeah, you're actually right. Never mind. I stand corrected. I could have sworn I heard T1 was invited to it, but I guess I may have.
Immortals making them play through the open qualifier.
Yeah. Also, Gen G have only won the tournaments that they've played in so far. Like, they played with Hiko recently, but that meant that Huyn, I don't even know how you pronounce that guy's name, but I think he's their primary. Isn't he their primary AWPer?
Yeah,
I thought that he was pretty decent. So I think that Gen G will look a lot better than their players did in Twitch Rivals.
They've looked like potentially the strongest team in NA when they've played.
Yeah, they're the defending team really here, I think. So
that's true. There's a lot of question marks here. I just don't know what we're gonna get, but I do think TSM is the strongest team going to this tournament, despite the fact that Gen G. I think TSM is just coming into their own.
I would agree with you. Yeah, I would agree with you. Cool.
All
right. Well, Matt's got to go. So I don't know what else we can do. Have you got to leave now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
5 minutes ago.
Thanks for watching, everybody. It was a wild ride.
You were the worst host ever, bro.
Probably. What do you mean?
Dude, you got to say, like, make sure you follow, subscribe, comment below. Who do you think is going to win the first live tournament?
All right, everybody, make sure you follow, subscribe, like the show, and also comment what you want to see next and the improvements to be made. # remove Matt. Let's get the trend going. Boom.